my CEO talks all the time, you don't see any golfers without a coach, even if they're the best in the world. Like Tiger Woods has always had a coach. Every CEO probably has a coach. CFO has a coach. COO has a coach. And then just the demands on the organization, especially with the shifts that we talked about earlier with AI, we're always adapting. That is the crux of what you do every day is you show up, you think you know what's going to go on, but once that game starts or once you open the doors to the fans, absolutely anything could happen. And that's the same thing with leadership in business.
Welcome to People at Pyramid. On this show, we like to introduce you to your fellow members and learn what's going on inside of the club. So let's get right over to our host, Vince Quinn, to meet our guest for today.
Hi members, my name is Stephen Novak. I am from Aiir Consulting. I'm a client lead and I am super excited to be a part of the Pyramid Club. I joined about 2 or 3 months ago.
So, client lead, what does that mean?
It really takes on a lot of different roles, but at the end of the day, I'm a consultant with companies of all shapes and sizes to help make better leaders.
So, what is a good leader in your opinion?
So there's so many definitions of leadership out there, and we have one where it's super simple, and it's leadership is the act of realizing a clear and compelling vision through others. You could take that a lot of different ways, but I think if you try to boil it down to one simple frame, that's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, I like that a lot. Yeah,
Mhm.
because people tend to get into like the traits and right, and it's
Yeah.
always like, oh, well, they're good at like expressing discomfort and having tough conversations and all these other things. But yeah, it's all like these little symptoms, if you will, of the bigger problem. That's like the negative way to phrase it, I guess.
Yeah.
But all the same, right? It's like, okay, what are we really doing here? It's communicating vision. And I know for you recently, like you just ran as we're speaking now, you just ran an event the other day. And dealing with AI and leadership, right? So, like, how do you view those things from where you're sitting?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different challenges that people are facing right now in leadership. And like, whether it's AI in leadership, whether it is geopolitical forces, whether it's economic forces or supply chain, leadership is that one constant. So even with AI, I think the whole point of the event and the takeaways from the conversations that I hosted was leadership and humans are still the center, no matter what else is changing. So obviously, we have to adapt and embrace and change with the technology. That doesn't change the fact that we are still a people-centered culture, a people-centered business world.
Yeah, which I think is important, right? Because people are always thinking about like, oh, AI is going to replace this and that, and there's even been CEOs of like big
Yeah.
companies, and they're like, yeah, AI is coming for my job too. I think that's garbage, by the way. Like,
Uh-huh.
there's certain aspects of the job that AI is going to take, and like that's what it's built for. But it inherently can't do the kinds of like it. AI is built on the information it has, right?
Yes.
So it can't,
Yes.
it's not living and breathing in the world. It's not having conversations. It's not doing those things that aren't logged, aren't scannable, aren't zeros and ones. So if you don't have that, then you just naturally don't have the information to complete the picture.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone who spoke at our event the other day, he noted that he has different agents that basically represent him and do some of this work. And his team hates it when he knows their requests went through the AI and not him. And he asked them why. And he said, that's because they don't have your wisdom. It might have the knowledge, it might understand what it is that they're reviewing or something like that, but it doesn't have the lived experience. It doesn't have the wisdom. It doesn't work with the context that you don't feed it.
Yeah, and sometimes like people aren't always, even when they're well intentioned, they're not always the best narrator of their own experience, right? Like they
100%.
think it's one problem and it's actually another, but they don't have the expertise to know that. So then the AI would respond to what is bad information and a bad diagnosis, basically, which then leads you down a bad rabbit hole. Like,
100%.
yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy. So let's do this, Stephen, because you mentioned before we started recording here the idea of the relationship between sports and leadership. So Philly, sports hungry town, by the way. I mean, we're all sports nuts. Are you a big? Do you have a favorite sport, favorite team?
So I'm actually from the Pittsburgh area,
Oh,
so I
boo,
do have some
boo.
opinions that I will Just not share so that way people actually like me at this club. But so I'm a Steelers guy. I'm a Yankees fan somehow. Penguins. So I know those are controversial takes based on where we're sitting today.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're good in my book. All right. I'm not an animal. As much as I was in sports radio for 10 years, I'm a good person. I swear. So let's talk about the relationship, though. I mean, what are those sports business, and leadership parallels? How does that tie together in your view?
I think it comes down to the speed and flexibility that's required of people. You know, whether you are an athlete that you need to be continually coached and trained and developed. Um, my CEO talks all the time. You don't see any golfers without a coach, even if they're the best in the world. Like Tiger Woods has always had a coach. Every CEO probably has a coach. CFO has a coach. COO has a coach. And then just the demands on the organization, especially with the shifts that we talked about earlier with AI and with economic forces and stuff, we're always adapting. And that is, I mean, you worked in sports, you understand that is the crux of what you do every day is you show up, you think you know what's going to go on, but once that game starts or once you open the doors to the fans, it anything could happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything could happen. And
Yeah.
that's the same thing with leadership in business.
It's so interesting. And what I find fascinating too is also like coaching styles and how they apply to certain teams and where the value is. Like hockey is a funny example because guys will come in and they'll like coach the crap out of a team like super hard. And for 2 years, that team is rolling. They're high performing. Everybody's having career bests. And then everybody burns out and hates the coach and they have to fire him.
Yeah.
Right? Like totally happens in business.
Absolutely.
There's other times where you get people who come in. Famous thing in NFL was the Detroit Lions and their rebuild. Like they're a respectable franchise. It took them maybe 4 or 5 years to do that, but they hired a guy that was all about culture. They fully embraced that. They went all in on it. They're like, look, we're not going to win a lot of games right now, but we're going to get the right people in the right seats, right? If you're going to
Absolutely.
do leadership language and tie it all together, and look at them now.
Yeah, and even think of Philadelphia. John Tortorella. He's a pretty tough pretty tough cookie, and he doesn't fit everywhere. But Rick Tocchet, he is a guy who embraces the younger guys, embraces the opportunity. He's really good at developing players, and that in turn builds a culture over time.
Yeah, and you think about how those things work, right, of the overall impact. Because when you're a good leader and you build people, I had a conversation once with somebody, and he was talking about how the success was defined for him, where he got to a point where if they were developed enough to leave and go out on their own, he loved that for
Hmm.
them. And part of the rationale was, well, it's not just that I was able to get them there, right, to that level of expertise, but it's like thinking about the network and how that expands and all the people that they're going to develop and how there can be this cross-pollination of people and ideas and like goodwill and how that all comes together over time. And I was like, man, that's really interesting. And you do see that same thing in sports too. Like, what is it other than having a great coaching tree for some of these guys and how that expands over time? For Philly, it's Andy Reid,
Hmm.
Mike Tomlin, 14 years.
Yeah.
Anybody that's a Steelers coach, really. I
Yeah.
mean, they've all done it for decades.
Yeah.
But you think about the trees and how that shapes everything in the culture of that industry. Like, I don't know. I just think all that stuff is really cool.
Yeah,
that
the
kind of impact.
cascade effect, it's fascinating. You think that maybe we're just coaching one leader and it's helping them in their day to day, but sometimes it's nice to take a step back and realize this is actually affecting like tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of people, depending on the size of the organization.
Yeah. So it all comes together. And then the team building with that, right? Like what kind of,
Hmm.
I'm a coach that operates a certain way. How am I going to build my staff to support me and do the small parts of leadership, that middle managing, if you will, or other parts of the C-suite? Like Nick Sirianni's an interesting thing. People kind of love him or hate him.
Hmm.
And what I think is awesome about him is that he was willing to be a CEO coach. And people rip him for that. Like, oh, he's not an offensive mastermind or whatever. And that's what a lot of teams do. But I mean, frankly, he's terrible at offense. He has no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
But that's great because he knows that and he doesn't really do that too much, right? It's get other people to do that job. He's the figurehead. He's making sure the culture is good. People are competitive. The coaching staff is in place in the right way. And he lets his guys do their jobs. And if that's not being a CEO, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can even see when things are going well, the culture in the locker room's good, and that actually cascades out into the city. But even like this last year, when things got tough, people didn't necessarily trust him on the team as much. Everybody felt that, and it was very visible. And that same thing happens in business.
Yeah. So it's all these interesting, tenuous,
Hmm.
everything's tight. It's organic. It's alive, you know?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I love how all that stuff comes together. But okay, let's do this then, Steve. I want to dig in a little bit personal side. Okay. You've got your free time. You're not talking about leadership and involving all these teams. What do you like to do?
Well, I have an 11-week-old at home, so
Oh,
that's when I
I
joined,
can't
like,
believe
right
you're
after
here.
that. Yeah.
Good for you for making it
Thank you,
outside
thank
in
you.
the daytime. This is great. Thank you.
So, currently, I like to sleep when when I'm not thinking about leadership. Big into sports, big into cooking as well. Those are kind of my hobbies, and we have a great dog at home too, so a lot of long walks.
Okay, what kind of dog? I gotta ask.
I'll say shepherd mix because we don't have enough time to list every breed that's a part of
it's,
him.
it's a super mutt. I love it. Okay,
Absolutely.
and the name of the dog?
Milo.
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 Okay, I like it.
Yes.
Milo's. I feel is like a classic dog name.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, Stephen, with all the things you got going on, people want to connect with you. You're talking about leadership. Maybe the few Steelers fans are around here in the area. Penguins fans, they're really quiet. I think that it's been a rough summer for them. But if they want to connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, I would say either reach out on LinkedIn or shoot me an email at snovak@airconsulting.com. It's spelled AIIR. It's not a typo. It's spelled like the air you breathe, pronounced like the air you breathe. But that's the best way to reach me.
There we go. So we'll have that in the show notes as well. So reach out to Stephen. And Stephen, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to People at Pyramid. If you enjoyed the show, please tell a fellow member. If you would like to be a guest on the show, check the show notes, and we look forward to seeing you around the club soon.